Hello everyone and welcome back to Back Lot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel and today I am joined by my co-host who would be in trouble with Child Protective Services if they knew what was going on in his house. And this is Taryn Dykstra and today we're here to talk about Bring Her Back, a new horror movie from the Philippou brothers, Mr. Danny and Mr. Michael.
That's right.
And we are going to give our thoughts about this movie. But of course, if you have seen the film, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section or join our Discord server, which has a link in the description. And Tanner, we did it. We saw Bring Her Back after you and I really being massive fans of Talk to Me a couple years ago.
Like that
the
one.
first theatrical debut from the Philippou brothers. We've now seen their second film, and I'll go out on a limb and say it carries the legacy beautifully.
I think it does. I think there are a lot of carryover strengths here, but also, like, it is going for something quite different, honestly.
Yeah.
It is going for something quite different tonally, I would say, especially with the characters that we have at play. And, hey, Talk to Me is a disturbing film. It is gory, and, plenty of people have watched it. It's on Netflix and stuff like that. You're probably familiar with Talk to Me. It was a huge sensation a couple years ago. This one is, not as fun. It doesn't have those moments of fun stuff. It is and honestly a pretty depressing, arresting movie, I would say, a lot of how it executes on itself. But in that
only gets more so as it's going.
Oh yes, for sure. And that being said, great film. I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean it's excellent. It's just perfectly delivers on its own concept. It is a unique twist on a possession movie, I guess, or a resurrection movie, but it doesn't fit neatly into any of these things because it has its own horror fantastical method of resurrection and possession and these things that I will get into later. But the reality is this movie is mostly about psychological manipulation and about the foster care system. And also I think where for me the strongest thematic carryover is between the films is a sibling dynamic. That is the core of this movie and was also the core of Talk to Me.
Right.
And that is something that you don't usually see directors focus on, is in their movies, they have really well realized siblings. But holy shit, Tanner. Our characters in this movie, Andy and Piper, are some of the most believable siblings I have ever seen in movies ever. Amazing performances from both of them. Great back and forth brother-sister dynamic. A little bit of extra spice on top to make it feel more unique, with Piper being blind and with their father's death and then the abuse history behind that and stuff. That is why this movie really works. Of course, there are great practical effects and there's a great performance from Sally Hawkins, who we'll also talk about. But the core of this movie and the reason why you get engaged with it is because it doesn't start off depressing. It doesn't start off scary.
It starts off relatively
heartwarming.
Yeah, well,
at first.
After you get some found footage, gross out stuff, and then then you get a little bit of heartwarming stuff, and then you find out that their dad has smashed his head open after passing out in the shower or whatever. So yeah, it's not happy and then sad. It certainly has these elements of trauma sprinkled in throughout.
Of course.
But the core of what you're saying, Tucker, is that it's really the stakes of the film are Sally Hawkins, whose character's name is, hang on one second, character name is Laura. She is sowing the seeds of doubt and trying to break apart this bond that has formed between Piper and Andy. And it's really compelling to see that happen. It makes you very angry with how manipulative Laura is being, and the ways that she is going about this manipulation and skewing the truth from Piper, who cannot see things that are happening in front of her or in the house around her, and also tricking Andy and gaslighting him and stuff like that. That is you get that element of you sort of understand that from Sally Hawkins' performance from the very beginning. She is overly nice and very sweet in crooning and things like that when they first come in, and is almost intentionally ignoring Andy in those first couple of scenes. And then you're expecting like, all right, what's the dark fucked up shit that she's gonna do?
Yeah, she does.
And she does do some dark fucked up shit. And Sally Hawkins sells this stuff, I would say, more so than other performers in a similar sort of like nice woman who is actually secretly evil and fucked up would. Kind of thing.
Yeah, because she has this manic energy that Sally Hawkins, with her frizzy hair that they give her in this movie, and her gaunt appearance, and her like bracelets that are a little bit too big, she has this kind of like crazy Catwoman energy that can either be terrifying or endearing, and she strikes that balance really well. And again, I like what you mentioned about the manipulation, the wedge being driven between the brother and sister is something that I think is really, really compelling, but it's the way in which they're able to do it, specifically because of Piper's blindness and her disability, that is like makes this like really compelling to watch the scenes. Like, oh, Piper is there, but because she is lacking a sense, she's unable to. She has to trust other people. So it builds this layer of like trusting other people and what they tell you if you have not seen something yourself. In the case of someone who is blind, you can't see what's happening at all, and then the manipulation that adds, and the way that impacts the way that Piper either trusts Laura or Andy is like really, really like emotionally fascinating, because you put yourselves in the shoes of either Piper or Andy, and you're like, what would I believe in this situation? Like, what is happening here? And it's just, I think it's endlessly fascinating and a really smart screenwriting choice to make a character dynamic stand out in a horror. We've seen plenty of horror movies. Tanner, you and I have probably seen over 100 horror movies together, let alone separately 100 upon that. And I thought I could name every character dynamic in horror movies, but I think that the brother and sister, one being blind with the manipulative like foster mom dynamic, never seen that before. So it feels very, very special.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I talked about Sally Hawkins and her performance that I think, I'll talk about more. I'll talk about a little bit more when we talk about like how the plot transpires here. But like you already mentioned, the chemistry between who is Billy Barrett and Sora Wong here, is also very good. Like
it's amazing.
There are just some things that are like understood because they say them over and over, and like some things that are set up that are fleshed out a little bit later down the road with their relationship with their father, and like what the family history is there, the grapefruit thing and all like that, everything like that. Those are just character dynamic things that don't have to be like explained to you. Laura never asks like, oh, what does grapefruit mean or whatever, which is would be it's like a screenwriting shortcut or whatever that the Philippous just don't take here. I think, although I think only one of them wrote this with somebody else actually.
Yes, that's right.
But and like, even in their horror and mysticism stuff, they also take those lessons of like not feeling the need to over-explain themselves or explain the rules or something, just making it evident from how the story is naturally unfolding, and they take those same attitudes towards the character relationships as well.
Yeah, definitely. It feels very confident and very well handled. Again, this is obviously a horror movie, and it goes in some really dark, fucked up places, but I don't know why I got this sense, but I felt like there was just like a family energy on set. Like everyone was like, like we're portraying these characters. We know what we're doing here. It felt very confident and well portrayed. And I think in the screenwriting elements you were mentioning, where things just unfold very naturally. I think that is something that you don't see in a lot of horror movies. Usually there's some character that's relegated to the fucking like really supporting role that's like explaining stuff or like being picked off. Like we don't have a lot of we don't really have any fluff in this movie because it's based around these few characters, and even though it does like lots of really scary things happen across the course of the film, it's not a slasher where like bodies are being burned. It's not a horror movie where there's like a bunch of monsters or anything. It really is mostly about that psychological tension of Laura manipulating particularly Andy and driving that wedge between him and his sister, where she's like goading him into being more aggressive than he wants to be, and leaning on the elements of abuse and misbehavior in his past to sort of convince him that he's worse than he actually is. And let me tell you, that actor, can you pull up his name? Sorry, for Andy.
Billy Barrett.
Billy Barrett fucking crushes it. I mean, the amount of like fear and confusion and anger that's like bubbling within him in all these scenes. I was completely blown away by his performance because he's the main character of the movie, which I don't really remember the trailers or marketing too strongly for this, but I really only knew about Sally Hawkins.
Exactly,
going
the
into it.
trailers are all like Sally Hawkins, like creepy looking found footage stuff, mysteriously stitched together.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this? Very, very A24 style horror trailer cutting. I was just like, I don't know, there's some creepy shit in here. Here's an actor you recognize. Come see the movie.
Yeah, but the reality is, it's on the shoulders of the actor for Andy and also his Piper, who she's amazing as well.
She's really good. She's really good.
We got a trio of just phenomenal horror performances.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. And I think this is maybe why I felt that really good cohesion and confidence from the set and from the direction and everything. Clearly, the Philippou brothers can get a fucking performance out of someone.
Oh yeah,
you and I have been praising Sophie Wilde's performance from Talk to Me since we saw that movie now, but like years ago. But now we have like more amazing Philippou brothers performances that are just like, yeah, you can get out of these people exactly what you want.
Yeah. Tucker, should we talk about the horror stuff that is here in this film? So, because again, it's not exactly clear from the trailers. It is something about a resurrection that is happening. And while we talk about the character drama that is driving the film, the also overarching thing hanging over everything is like, hey, what the hell is like this horror stuff that's gonna go down at some point in this movie? And you get little hints of this. There's the big like drone shot or whatever of like the giant white circle encompassing the entire property.
Excellent imagery.
Exactly. Character that we have not brought up yet is the character of Ollie / Christian, I believe is like his actual name or whatever.
No, something Bird.
Christopher, something like that.
Is it whatever? But Ollie,
Ollie,
the character
is what they call him for a majority of the film. Who is a mute kid who is like has a shaved head and is sort of like gaunt for a lot of it, and you're like, okay, this kid is sort of messed up somehow. What's going on here? The ultimate reveal is, so spoilers for the reveal of Bring Her Back here, that Sally Hawkins' daughter has died. Her biological daughter drowned some years ago, and she is keeping her body in a freezer for some intense, ritual that she is about to undergo, wherein she has kidnapped Ollie and lured a demon or some spirit into Ollie's body. And what the ritual is that Ollie / the demon will eat the corpse of her dead daughter.
Yeah.
And then she gets another person to die in the way that her daughter did. And then they vomit the soul of her daughter back into that person's body. And then so the soul of her actual daughter will live on in this new body. That is effectively the ritual that is going down here.
The idea is that she is so addicted to overcoming the grief of losing her daughter that she has... And this is on a horror level or like a world building level, the most fascinating part of Bring Her Back. She has discovered this cult videotapes of this cult.
It's not a cult.
Oh, what?
They say I don't know if you cut.
If
you cut the at the text at the very beginning on the tape says this is not a cult, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, she's discovered a cult of some kind.
Yes, sorry.
that are performing this ritual a bunch, and very clearly she's not particularly familiar with it, and she's not a part of the cult herself, and she's like trying to figure this out on her own.
And piecing it together from a videotape of the ritual.
It's really fascinating. Again, to the sort of confidence and world building element, like it would be so much easier or so much more expected to have
like
a
cult
side character
show up or whatever.
Have a cult member show up, or have like a side character who's a policeman who's trying to figure this out, who has a bunch of files, and knows a little bit about the history of this.
With the CPS lady, the other lady that they bring at the end of the movie, I was like, she's gonna be in on it somehow. I've seen this before, but no, that's not the case. Yeah,
and so it leaves it bizarre and vague, and you're unsure how it works, or when it started, or who these people are, or how she got the tapes. Like, all these questions are completely unanswered, which is like very compelling. I think that's the right choice to make. I'm curious about those things. I would want to see it, but I think that from a screenwriting level, creating a unique set of rules that are vague enough, but also clear enough to know what she needs to do. And watching it, especially in the second half of the film, the steps start to take shape as she paints the line on the pool. The pool fills up with water. We realize she has to drown Piper to have this ritual take place. And then there's also this general future projection, like premonition thing that Andy's experiencing.
Yeah, so this is
don't let her go out in the rain. Don't let her go out in the rain. And water imagery is a massive part of this movie.
The water is everywhere here too, because
it's so fascinating.
I mean, one of the more upsetting parts of the movie that comes earlier on is when Laura takes Andy and Piper to their father's funeral and is trying to force Andy to look at his body because he doesn't want to, and tells him to kiss the body, which is seemingly part of the ritual as well. And
it's how it is done.
Yeah, it's then she takes a piece of the hair off of the dead body and feeds it to Ollie / the demon, and that's why Andy sees his father at some point in the movie. There's all sorts of creepy ritualistic mysticism stuff in the movie that is just kind of understood. They never explain any of that. It's just stuff that you have to kind of piece together as the movie is going or retroactively look back on.
And really... it's on a horror level, it's a slippery slope. As soon as things start going bad, and particularly once everyone is separated, Andy gets a concussion, and so he is sort of down for the count. He's out of commission. Laura ingratiates herself closer to Piper. Ollie starts getting out more and getting stronger as he starts eating more, because also he's being starved. And also there's this element where she's controlling him by doing circles and stuff, circles on the windows, and he can't leave the circle because the possession's only within the gigantic circle that's around the house. But it's the paint is melting because of the rain. There's all these different things that I think I don't fully understand how everything clicks together in this, but I generally understand it well enough to know that it's following some rules that the directors understand.
Exactly, and that is the core of what I think makes the horror, the scary magic stuff in this work, is that you don't understand it, but you understand it to a degree, to the exact degree that the directors want you to. And I think that's what makes it work, is that it's obviously quite complex, but we've distilled it down to a simplified version that really anyone can kind of follow, I think. So, you were sort of getting towards the end there, Tucker, and the end is really just upsetting thing after upsetting thing. I mean,
I was telling my brother today, we were watching The Walking Dead. We were watching Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 1, in which someone cuts their arm open and it's bleeding everywhere. And he said that is one of the most disturbing things he's ever seen. And I told him about 4 of the things that happened in this movie I saw yesterday. He's like, oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Most disturbing moment of the movie.
Here we go.
Is when Ollie starts taking the knife and chewing on it blade vertically. And I had my hand on my mouth for 10 minutes after that. I was like, ooh, there's because I don't know if I ever told even you this. I have a scar right here on my lip. Because a horse rammed me into a wire fence when I was a kid, and it split
and you cut your lip open there.
And so I just have sometimes a tingling there anyway, and so when I was watching this kid rip open, his teeth are getting shattered and his nose ripped open, and just I'm like, oh, what? You can't fucking do that in a movie. What the hell?
It is this movie's head slamming in "Talk to Me" moment.
Yes,
it is absolutely that. But then there's a woman, Andy and the CPS woman being hit by the car, and then
that's the Hereditary moment.
Exactly, the eating of the frozen dead body, which is upsetting.
That one's pretty tame, all things considered.
I think that's it's also
what about when Ollie has his fucking his whale moment where he just starts eating everything.
When he's chewing on the counter and stuff like that. That was what was getting the people in my theater the most. No. The moment that got the people in my theater is that when he starts eating his own skin, his own arm meat. Yeah.
Dude, and let me tell you, this kid does not say much throughout the movie.
No.
Another excellent performance.
Yes.
Excellently acted and directed.
Yeah.
He is just completely zoned out and fucking literally eating himself.
Yes, Jonah Wren Phillips. Jonah Wren Phillips is the kid's name.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, like watching that flesh like come off his arm and like dangle like and he's like slurping it like fucking ziti, dude.
Like ziti.
That's not even accurate. But...
yeah, whatever. But I understand what you mean. And then like I think truthfully, what all happens here is obviously they try to go through with the ritual, and then I think that the stroke of like tragic beauty / the thing that is beautiful about this movie is that like Laura like gives up after Piper calls her, like begs her and calls her mom, and then she like lets her go, and then because I was also sitting next to some people who were walking out. They were saying like, "Oh, I fucking hate Sally Hawkins. She's the worst." I was like, I think the what really works about this movie is that she's evil. She's done some terrible things, but like she just really misses her daughter, man. Like she was just doing anything to get her daughter back.
Who among us wouldn't do this at the end of the day?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. But like, it's also a testament to Sally Hawkins' performance, where you're like, damn, like she's really selling. She's almost making me feel bad for her retroactively at the end. I was like, she just misses her daughter.
Yeah. So there were about, I went to the 4 p.m. showing of this yesterday.
Yeah.
And there were 6 or 7 people in the theater, all actually around my age, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And literally all of them at the end of the movie started talking about how dumb the ending was because Sally Hawkins survived and didn't get her comeuppance or whatever. And I just kind of walked out and I was listening to this and I'm like, because I'm with you. I don't agree. I think that, again, confidence. It'd be a lot easier to have Ollie go fucking like mutate into this giant thing and eat her or whatever. Like if that's
so
what
lame. Yeah.
And that would be the ending that we've seen in
or even like Piper flips her around and drowns her or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. But having Piper get away, having Ollie actually survive and be found by Child Protective Services, which he'd been missing for years, presumably at that point, or a year or something. And then having them, the last shot, I believe, is the police finding her in the pool, hugging the corpse of her daughter, in this beautiful drone shot of her in the pool with this big circle underneath her. It's, again, it feels more confident to not take the easy route out. And to introduce a little bit of melancholy to the end, rather than like we never get and Piper is still doing good to this very day kind of thing. And like there's no fucking text scroll at the end where it's like, and Laura was locked up and, they found all the cult members. Like
the last we see of Piper is that she's been like rescued by some random people driving by on the road, and she like watches she sort of looks up and hears the plane in the sky or whatever, which ties back into the thing, her brother says to her about how, souls get to heaven. They take the plane up or whatever.
Yeah, like that.
And like, she's lost her dad, she's lost her mom, she's lost her brother in this horribly tragic, horrific way. She's pretty fucked up, but she's alive, and like she has to just hope that they've all gone to a better place, I guess. Like it's good to see her get out, but it's also it plays into like the depressing ending of it. And then you end on that shot of Sally Hawkins in the circle. She is trapped by her grief and not being able to let go of things in that circle in the pool. With her daughter's body as like all the flashlights from the police officers' guns surround them or whatever. I mean, it's a great way to end the movie, and like Ollie gets out. So these things are like, oh, good happens, but you're like, fucking hell, man. I think a lot of that like depressive feeling, for me at least, comes from the turn of Sally Hawkins' character at the end. It wouldn't be as nearly as emotionally impactful as it is if she drowned or got like blown up by a demon spirit or whatever.
Yeah. So before we talk about our scores, I'm curious for you. You mentioned this at the very beginning, I think, in your opening statement. What do you think the success, energy-wise, tonally, aesthetically, is that you now read as the Philippou brothers style that is carried over between Talk to Me and Bring Her Back?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think obviously, being brothers, I think they understand really compellingly how to display and write and direct a sibling performance, or at least some sort of familial bond like that.
Yeah.
That familial thing is something that they excel at. But also they're probably one of the best guys doing like the horror concept as grief or as
absolutely.
trauma side of things. Just because
something that you make fun of quite frequently.
Yes, and
or find grating because it's so commonplace.
Yes, it's so commonplace. But in recent years, especially, I've been like, yeah, but like if you really think about it, like classic horror movies that I love from decades ago also use that conceit. It's really just about like it being so ham-fisted in some recent films, and then it's not the case here. I mean, it's just a level to which you execute it with like grace and beauty, and I think they are able to do so while also excelling at making grisly, gnarly, gore-filled films that you can really disturb you, shake you to your core with these moments of imagery. We've known, from the early days of YouTube that they excel at their special effects work like this, and like sort of layering that in to make the realism of a magical rule of a world or whatever. I would also say just generally that their ability to get fantastical ideals in their films, rules, concepts, things like that, and again distill them down to a simplified version that can still be like thought about or expounded upon in sequels or spin-offs like they're gonna do with the Talk to Me movies. They're good at that, taking a big broad lore idea and being like, okay, but what is important to instill into the story? I think that, however many things I just listed there, that is sort of what we are getting out of their films, their filmic output.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the most interesting thing. On a writing level and like all this stuff, like, these are different movies. They're like different universes and maybe, presumably, doesn't really matter. They are about different people, but I do feel a very cohesive style between the two of them. I think they're both thematically very rich and well done. I think they both have a slate of excellent performances, a unique twist on a horror trope concept, a very original version of that we usually don't see a lot of. On a practical effects level and a disturbing imagery level, they're top of their craft. And then they leave you in like a unsettled place by the end. It's not a perfect everything's wrapped up in a bow. It's like, no, yeah, I mean, the world is just fucked up at the end of the day. And I love it. I think that honestly, now having two under my belt of seeing these guys make these horror movies, I'm like, I think they're some of the best doing it. I mean, these aren't like my favorite horror movies, but in terms of consistency and like a through line between two different films,
it is very promising to see their sophomore feature be this good. Like they have stomped the sophomore slump, I guess. In that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And also did just do like and we're immediately doing Talk to Me or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they did. They did say that. A24, they announced.
Well, I mean, it wasn't their next film. Is kind of what I meant. They're taking some time to sort of explore some other.
Unlike that hack Parker Finn.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Smile 2 sucks. No, it doesn't. I love Smile 2.
Smile 2's good. Good stuff, Tucker. I'm gonna give it 8.4 out of 10.
8.4? Yeah, I'll say 8.6 out of 10. Love it.
Yeah.
I think it's excellent. I think they're great, and I can't wait to see what they do next. But thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.